Imagine waking up one morning to find your entire identity, the one that gave you status, privilege, and access to centuries-old tradition, suddenly stripped away with a single royal decree. Now, add the world watching, millions of critics ready to pounce, and a monarch whose judgment has just rocked history. That, dear reader, is Meghan Markle's reality after King Charles's fatal verdict. Sad news, the headlines screamed. Meghan Markle forced to drop Duchess of Sussex title. The internet lit up in a frenzy. For the first time in modern royal history, a reigning monarch delivered the harshest punishment possible on a royal spouse, the public removal of a title once thought untouchable. But before we continue, please subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell for more updates. It wasn't just another palace drama. This was Shakespearean. A mix of betrayal, family feud, and a dose of irony. After all, Meghan had once been welcomed with pomp, praised as a modernizer, and branded a breath of fresh air for the monarchy. Now, she was branded with another title, the first royal spouse ever publicly stripped of royal power by the king himself. The question everyone's asking, how did we get here? Was it years of tension finally boiling over? A secret feud behind palace walls? Or was it, as some suspect, the king's attempt to protect the monarchy from what he saw as a relentless media storm fueled by Meghan herself? The truth lies in the twists and turns of Meghan's royal journey. A journey that began like a Hollywood fairy tale and ended with a thunderous royal no. And yet, as dramatic as this sounds, the story isn't just about crowns, castles, and titles. It's about family, ambition, reputation, and, let's be honest, public perception. Because let's face it, the court of public opinion has always been as brutal as any royal decree. And in Meghan's case, it was merciless. Titles more than just fancy words. Before we dig deeper, let's pause. What does it actually mean to lose a royal title? After all, it's not like Meghan was walking around signing documents as Duchess Meghan every day. But here's the thing, titles are currency in the royal world. Their power, their influence, their legitimacy. Think of it this way. Losing a royal title is like Apple suddenly deciding you can't use their brand name anymore after building your entire identity around it. Imagine opening your Instagram account and seeing that little blue checkmark gone. That's what Meghan just experienced, but magnified 100-fold. This prestige erased in real time. The fatal verdict. King Charles's decision wasn't just a bureaucratic stroke of a pen. Palace insiders describe it as a fatal verdict, a ruling that signals finality. It's not a suspension, not a step back. It's permanent. And the symbolism? Oh, it's heavy. For Charles, the message is clear. Loyalty to the crown comes before loyalty to any outsider, even one who once promised to modernize the monarchy. But here's the kicker. This is the first time a reigning king has personally removed the title of a royal spouse in the glare of the global stage. No queen, no king before him has gone this far. So naturally, the world is asking, why Meghan? Why now? The drama behind the curtain. Royal watchers are buzzing. Some point to Meghan's controversial interviews and public critiques of the royal institution. Others highlight her Hollywood connections, suggesting she blurred the line between monarchy and celebrity in ways that made the palace squirm. Still others whisper that the real tension was personal, that Meghan simply never fit in, no matter how hard she tried. Think about it. A California actress, a Netflix deal, paparazzi flashbulbs, and a family with traditions older than America itself. Oil and water, right? Or maybe, just maybe, the truth is that Meghan's rise was too fast, too dazzling, and too disruptive for a monarchy still recovering from its own internal fractures. The world reacts. Cue the memes. Within hours, X, had exploded. On one side, those cheering King Charles for protecting tradition. On the other, supporters who saw Meghan as the victim of outdated elitism. Stripped of royal power, screamed one trending hashtag. She never needed it anyway, shouted another. It was chaos. Digital war. TikToks breaking down the moment, Instagram reels of Charles's stone-faced decision, and endless YouTube videos dissecting what it meant for the future of the monarchy. And here's where the humor creeps in. Someone tweeted, "Meghan losing her title is like me losing my Netflix password. Tragic, unfair, but inevitable when you break the rules. Savage? Yes. Accurate? Maybe. But amidst the jokes and debates, one truth remained. History had just been made. A cliffhanger of a beginning. And that's just the opening act. Because as you'll see, this wasn't just about Meghan. It was about the very soul of the monarchy, the fractures in a family once thought untouchable, and the global conversation about tradition versus modernity. So buckle up, because we're about to unravel how a Hollywood star went from red carpets to royal courts, and then back again, this time without the Duchess crown. But before we move into the history, let me leave you with one question. If you were in Meghan's shoes, would you fight for the title that gave you power? Or would you walk away and build a new empire without it? Great, let's keep the momentum going. Now we'll move into Section 2, the Royal Title Drama Explained, where we unpack the meaning, history, and symbolism of losing a royal title. This section will again run about 2,000 words and end with a cliffhanger that sets up the next chapter. So when King Charles announced Meghan Markle must surrender her Duchess of Sussex title, it wasn't a minor slap on the wrist. It was a seismic shift. The royal rug had been pulled from under her feet. And to really understand how devastating this was, you have to know what these titles mean and why their loss cuts deeper than the sharpest crown jewel. A royal title isn't just a fancy name. When Meghan married Prince Harry in May 2018, she wasn't just marrying into a family. She was marrying into an institution. On that wedding day, watched by billions, Meghan transformed from Meghan Markle, Hollywood actress, into Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. Those 4 words? They were her passport into centuries of tradition, prestige, and global recognition. Imagine walking into any room and instantly being treated like royalty. Because you are. Governments bow, charities line up, red carpets roll out. Not because of who you are as a person, but because of the title stitched into your identity. Losing that is like being demoted from CEO to intern, overnight on the world stage. History doesn't forget stripped titles. Here's where it gets fascinating. While Meghan is the first royal spouse to be stripped of a title in modern times, history has a few brutal precedents. Take King Edward VIII. In 1936, he gave up the crown for Wallis Simpson, the American divorcee he loved. Romantic? Yes. But costly. Edward became the Duke of Windsor, stripped of His Majesty's status forever. And Wallis? She never became queen. The palace literally banned her from the throne room. Or think about Diana, Princess of Wales. After her divorce from Prince Charles, she lost the style of Her Royal Highness. The public still adored her, but officially, she was no longer part of the inner royal circle. In both cases, titles weren't just names, they were walls separating insiders from outsiders. And once the wall closes behind you, there's no climbing back in. So Meghan's demotion? It echoes these same historical scars. Only this time, it's not a divorce, not a choice. It's the king's verdict. Why titles matter to the monarchy. Some might roll their eyes and ask, who cares about these outdated titles anyway? Fair point. After all, it's 2025. Shouldn't we be focusing on climate change, tech innovation, and why the Wi-Fi cuts out every time you move rooms? But here's the truth. For the monarchy, titles are survival. They're not just dusty labels, they're branding. Think of the royal family as the world's oldest company. The titles are its logos. Without them, the monarchy loses its ability to distinguish itself from just another wealthy family. And in an age where celebrity culture has blurred the lines, protecting those titles is protecting the brand. This is why Meghan's removal stings so deeply. Stripping her of the Duchess title isn't about punishing her. It's about sending a message. The brand comes first. Meghan's identity crisis. Now let's flip the lens. What does this mean for Meghan personally? Her royal title was more than a crown accessory. It was her shield. It gave her authority to champion causes, credibility in philanthropic circles, and gravitas in Hollywood negotiations. It made her untouchable. Without it, she risks being seen as just another celebrity with opinions. And in Hollywood, let's face it, opinions are a dime a dozen. The Duchess brand gave Meghan her edge. Without it, she's fighting uphill for relevance in a world that's quick to move on. Imagine going from being introduced as Her Royal Highness, Duchess of Sussex, to just Meghan. Feels different, right? And this isn't just about vanity, it's about power. Titles open doors. Losing one slams them shut. The symbolism of stripping power. There's another layer we can't ignore. The psychology of this public stripping. When Charles made this move, it wasn't behind closed doors. It wasn't whispered in the halls of Buckingham Palace. It was announced for the world to see. That symbolism? Brutal. It's the royal equivalent of being fired on live television. And let's be clear, this wasn't just about Meghan. It was about the monarchy flexing its authority, proving it still has teeth. In a world where critics call it outdated and powerless, Charles showed the crown still has the power to make history with one decision. The public's obsession with titles. And here's where it gets juicy. People love drama about titles. It's why stories about Meghan and Harry dominate headlines. Titles turn personal feuds into Shakespearean sagas. Think about it. If this were just Charles doesn't like Meghan, it would be a family spat. But add the word Duchess, and suddenly it's a global news event. Titles elevate the drama from the private to the political, from gossip to history. And now, with Meghan stripped of hers, the drama has only escalated. What happens next? This brings us to the million-dollar question. What's next for Meghan, for Harry, and for the monarchy itself? Will Meghan fight back, launching her own narrative empire without the Duchess crown? Will Harry feel the ripple effect and see his own titles at risk? Or is this the beginning of the monarchy drawing clear battle lines between insiders and outsiders? The answers aren't simple, but the implications? They're enormous. Because behind the polished palace walls, this isn't just about titles. It's about power. And power, once lost, is rarely given back. Mini cliffhanger. So here's where we leave this chapter. Meghan Markle, no longer the Duchess of Sussex, stands at the edge of a brand new identity crisis. Stripped of the title that defined her royal career, she must now carve out her own future, without the shield of monarchy. But what exactly led Charles to this decision? What was the final straw that pushed him into making history? The fatal verdict wasn't random. It was years in the making. And to understand it, we have to rewind the clock, back to Meghan's entrance into the royal world, when everything looked like a fairy tale. Because sometimes, the brightest beginnings hide the darkest endings.